gentlemen, welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, where we watch every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. And hello, past people! Hello, people watching in the future! Hello, because we are way, way, way back into 1935. This is a catch-up film, so we've been doing this for a couple years now. But if you're just starting the journey, hello, welcome! This is like movie number 2 or 3.
Yeah!
How exciting! You're going to see the format of how the episodes get later in the...
Later on. Down the line.
All right. With that out of the way...
This is the new Gulliver.
Yes, this is a Russian film.
From 1935.
Man, this is definitely the earliest Russian film we've seen.
It's the sort of first Russian animated film.
Sort of.
Yes.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm curious what you mean by that.
Well, you remember when after we watched the movie, I'm like, hey, we got something else to watch?
Yeah, and you showed me something terrifying.
Yeah, that's the other one.
But that was 2 minutes long.
It's a kind of lost film.
Oh, so that was just like the only scene that's left from it.
I think so.
Huh.
We have REUPLOAD 2 to thank for giving us a ton of information about this film. And some information on that other film that I showed you, or the parts of that other film. What's interesting about both of those is that the 2-minute segment we watched, that I had you watch, was traditionally animated.
Okay, yeah.
So that makes it Russia's first traditionally animated film before Disney.
Wow, yeah.
And then also, this, the new Gulliver, is a stop-motion animated film.
Yeah, so this is the first stop-motion film ever.
Which, I mean... I think had we been watching these in order, it'd been like, wow, you know, that's cool that, you know, Russia already has such an early good start on both of those fronts. But I think now, knowing the context we do of where Russian animation goes and just like how creative and like beautiful Russian animation has been over these next 2-3 decades.
Yeah, you guys.
This doesn't even like this isn't even shocking. It's just like, oh yeah, this
seems on par.
Yeah.
Like, people just starting, you're in for a treat from Russia.
Yeah, Russia has some fantastic animation. So, the new Gulliver. You want to talk about what the new Gulliver is?
Sure. So we start off with a live-action sequence of Russian Boy Scouts, sort of?
Yeah.
I have no idea what this group is known
They
as.
might just be school kids who are, or just some kind of like boys club. I don't know.
I don't know, but they start off by repurposing a boat that washed up on the shore. And it's like, it's a sailboat. It's a big old sailboat. And the people that did it go on a trip out to a local island.
Yeah.
And then they climb up the mountain that's on this island, and like one of their chief engineer kids was awarded Gulliver's Travels, which is his favorite book, so he gets a book. Cool, good for him. I'm assuming books are hard to come by in 1935, or maybe not like hard to come by, but like it's a worthwhile treasure to get a book.
Right, because when he was handed the book and they already said that it's his favorite book, me and my, you know, my thinking nowadays, I'm like, if it's his favorite book, he probably already has it. And then I immediately was like, well, wait, Tennille, this is 1935. That's probably actually not the case.
Yeah, he probably loves the book, but he doesn't actually own a copy of it.
Yeah.
Like maybe the school has a copy or something like that. And
it was read to him, yeah.
But now he has his own copy. So they're sitting there, they eat lunch, and then the
teacher,
the adult character,
group counselor,
whoever this guy is, takes the book from him and starts to read it aloud to everyone. And
he doesn't take it from him. He's just like, everyone's like, oh, we should, you know, have the teacher read some of the kid's book.
The acting's pretty terrible.
Yeah, the acting's not great.
So, as we're reading the book, the boy who loves Gulliver's Travels starts to fall asleep, and he dreams that he is Gulliver, and he's on a pirate ship, and he fights off the pirates, and then the pirate ship crashes, and then he's washed away, and then he washes up in Lilliput. You know, it's the story of Gulliver's travels.
That always gets adapted for film, even though there's a lot of other parts of Gulliver's Travels that never get adapted at all.
But nope, we're going to Lilliput for the millionth time. So, as per usual with a story about going to Lilliput, he's giant, he gets tied down, he gets taken to the ruling people.
What's really important to note about this is this is a stop-motion animated film.
With a live-action child on top of it. They're, like, interacting with all of it at the same time.
Right, so that means this kid is, like, laying down in these sets
for hours
while the team is animating around him.
Yeah, good thing there isn't any sort of, like, child actor protection law or act or anything, because this is probably definitely inhumane for purposes of that and stuff.
For just like having a child lay on set for hours while you animate around them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
I will say, going to the animation for a minute, there's a lot of puppets.
Holy crap, there are so many puppets.
You want to know how many puppets there are?
How many puppets?
3,000.
3,000 puppets?
3,000 puppets. And then the sets and the puppets were all created by 2 women.
Whoa.
One was the set designer, and the sets in this film are gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I think the sets are gorgeous, and the puppets, by some terminology, would be considered gorgeous. They're terrifying and ugly, but like, they're well crafted and they exaggerate to the nth degree so that, you know, back in 1935, bad graphics, you can actually see what they're trying to emote and stuff.
I think a better word there would be like poor resolution.
Poor quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get across.
Oh, but like they are very charming. I would say that like they're very good for 1935.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
This is definitely a film that's not aged well. It's not a film I would recommend to anyone, but if you're someone like Sean and I going on the journey, this is definitely an interesting film to look at in the context of the time it came out. Which is why, according to REUPLOAD 2, that this is one of those films that no one cares about, even in Russia, unless you're an animation historian, or
you're super into stop motion,
or you're some crazy conspiracy theorist, is what she was telling me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can we get to that later?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay. I want to actually finish up the story real fast.
Go ahead.
So, we're taken to the country of Lilliput, and there's a king there, and he's got all of the people around him, and it's all aristocracy and stuff. And the boy, Gulliver, is here, and he's referred to as the new Gulliver for reasons.
Aristocracy's a loose term. They're capitalists.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not royalty of any kind. They're capitalists.
They're rich people.
They're capitalists.
Yes. Either way, they're here and they're like all about fancy things and they're feeding the kid all the stuff and like, we're great and amazing and stuff like that. Don't worry about who does all the work. They don't matter. Only we matter.
That's why our society is so great.
Yes, it's so great because we have other people doing all of the work for us. Mm-hmm. So, the working class is the other faction here in this version of Lilliput.
And they are done in a completely different art style.
Oh yeah, there's like rough-hewn.
It reminds me of Mystery Booth.
Yes.
Which we watch multiple decades here in the future.
Yes.
Where it's a very similar kind of story. You've got your evil capitalists who are all rich, hoity-toity people. and then the working class, which are all done in a very, like, rough, similar, unified kind of style.
Down to earth. These are people of the land. They know how to get stuff done.
Yeah.
So you can very quickly see who is which. And they're like, you know what? We're fed up with doing all the work and getting nothing for it.
Revolution at dawn.
Yeah, exactly. Revolution at dawn. And we know the giant is on our side because he wrote about it in his Russian book. His Russian homework, which happens to float up on shore. And yes, he is on board.
Plus the kid has been, like, very, he's been side-eyeing the capitalists the whole time
It's like,
he's been
why
there.
are you doing these things?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then he sings, like, a workforce song or something. And in the end, there's a big fight where everyone fights each other a lot. And
Gulliver gets shot at with little cannons.
he does the Gulliver thing where he grabs all the boat's oars and he pulls them ashore so they can't do the thing anymore. And the working class wins in the end.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and he's like mumbling things in his sleep, and all of his friends and or classmates are laughing at him and making fun of him, and he's like, "You're great friends, thanks."
Thanks.
And the movie ends.
Oh, yeah. The acting is definitely one of the film's weakest points. And then the fact that when we get to Lilliput, everybody has, like, these very high-pitched, squeaky voices.
We're tiny people, so we have to talk like this, obviously.
Yeah.
It's new technology. We're gonna use it. Doesn't sound good, but, you know, that's what you do when you have tiny people, I guess. Yeah.
Are you ready for more context about the film?
Yes, give me the context.
Alright, I'm going to be quoting directly from REUPLOAD 2 because they are definitely more knowledgeable when on their own country's films than I am. They've studied this stuff. So, here's what they have to say. So this film came out in 1935, which is a very difficult time for the USSR. The 30s is the time from which all the major stereotypes about the Soviet Union come from. The 1984 style stuff, the gulags, repression, secret police, famine, censorship, etc.
Oh boy, fun.
So that's the time period in which this was made. The films from the late 50s through the 70s that we've seen already
in the future
did come out in not so good times as well, but they're nothing compared to the 30s to late 50s.
Okay.
The movies from the 30s are usually the most outdated and offensive. There are, of course, exceptions, like a lot of plain comedies and musicals that are still held in pretty high regard. And mostly film historians or crazy radicals care about them. So then that's when she says, these films usually have YouTube comments like, "Thanks for the brave directors telling the truth about some crazy xenophobic conspiracy."
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun.
More about this time period, though. Or actually about this film. It does help that this film has an actual director with experience and a vision. Alexander, Pushtko?
I'm not even going to attempt.
Alright, Pushtko. We're gonna go with that.
It's been on screen for a little bit so people can see who it is we're talking about.
Yes. Is actually pretty beloved here. He did a bunch of high-budget special effects. Heavy fairy tales, and as far as I know, this is his only political film. All of the others have a fairly wholesome and fall more in line with these 40 Russian rotoscoped fairy tale movies. And REUPLOAD says that they remember watching a lot of these as a kid. They also included some of the pictures of the women who worked on the film.
Olga Tyosanya.
Olga Tai. Gosh.
Yeah.
Name.
I'm so sorry. We were never taught how to properly pronounce
Russian
anything
names.
Russian.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
But she's a sculptor, and she did all of the background sets.
Mm.
In this picture, which I'll probably send over to Sean so he can also put it up on the screen, is one of her sculptures. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah Mokhil, who did all 3,000 individual puppets. But she also tended to cameo in some of this director's films.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And then before he worked on this film, Pushko was primarily an animation director, so this is him making his live-action debut.
Live action as in a few small actors here and there.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's still something. Especially early on, like, this kind of, like, trying to step over the boundaries of mediums can have very shaky results. And while I can't say that, like, this film necessarily pulls it off gracefully, the whole product doesn't feel like, oh, here's the animation part where things really shine, and then here's the live action part where people obviously don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. No, it still feels fairly cohesive.
Yeah, it still feels like the same film.
And, like, using a live action person interacting with tiny puppets is very, like, choosing the story of Gulliver's Travels was pretty good for, like, a mixed stop motion live action feature, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see that done pretty much almost exactly. Granted.
Well, the next time we see a tale of Gulliver's Travels, it is fully animated.
It's fully animated, but it's rotoscoped. The
human is Gulliver is so rotoscoped that
he may as well just be live action.
Yeah.
Anyway, though,
hinting at things to come.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I think that's just about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, interesting movie to look back on from a historical perspective. Otherwise, watching it just casually, I definitely would not recommend it.
It's not like the most interesting film or anything.
No, in fact, it's pretty just boring.
But like, if you want to look into like the early stop motion stuff, it's got some interesting effects and stuff that go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. So join us back here next time as we continue to look at other films from the past. But we're jumping forward like 15 years, actually.
Yeah.
15 years to 1950 for the next catch-up film.
See you there.
Далекие страны, лети, наш клич